I'll go ahead and start with the bell ringer. A store sells 4 apples for $3.99 and you need 22 apples. Use a ratio table to find the total cost of apples. So we talked about how you can either set a ratio table like this, where it's horizontal, or you can set it up like a vertical table where we most commonly see X and Y. But this time we have apples and the cost. And I know that 4 apples cost $3.99. So when I use my ratio table to solve, if I want to find out the price of 1 apple, I divide it by 4, because 4 divided by 4 equals 1. And I'll have to do the same at the bottom. $3.99 divided by 4 gives me 0.9975. Now to get from 1 to 22, I'm going to multiply that number by 22, and I have to do the same along the bottom, so that I get 22 apples cost $21.945. Since I know that I can't have half of a penny, I went ahead and rounded up so that it makes sense for money, so that it's $21.95. So that's how we use a ratio table. We go down to the price for 1 apple, and then from there it's easier to jump to 22, because there's not a friendly number to multiply from 4 to 22. So it makes it easier to go back down to 1. So that's our bell ringer. This day we talked about scatter plots, and how a scatter plot is a graph that shows the relationship between 2 data sets. And the data sets are graphed as ordered pairs in the coordinate plane. So for example, in this one, our 2 data sets are the depth of a scuba diver and the water temperature. And we marked those with 2 points on the coordinate plane. So for example, if I'm just looking at this 60, if a scuba diver can dive down 60 feet at a water temperature of about 50. So those 2 points are related together. How we get that point is those 2 variables put together. And it can show trends in the data. So if I'm looking at this one, the colder the water temperature is, the higher a depth of a scuba diver, so in feet. That's kind of how we talked about that there. So we did this example. What did the grade the person who studied for 2 hours receive? So if I'm going down to study time, 2 hours, and I follow that line up, that person scored about 72, 73, maybe a little less than halfway between 70 and 80. How many hours did the person who scored the highest on the test study? Well, the highest test score, if I'm looking at the test scores here, is way over here. And that person studied about 6.5 hours. Whoops, sorry, 6.5 hours in between the 6 and 7. And then C, what happens to the math grade as the study time increases? Well, if we're looking as the study time gets longer, then the math score seems to be going higher as well. So as you study more, your math grade goes higher.